everyone's here because now it's legislators. I need a motion to approve last month's minutes. I got Ron. Second Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? None. So moved. Why don't we have Patty, you can go ahead and present what you wanted to present.
Jones is
Or
gonna do
Joan
most of the
too.
talking, I just
Okay.
give information.
What's that?
I said Joan's gonna do all the talking, I just do
Okay.
information.
So you have the summary sheet that we did, this is just to bring you all up to speed on our, what we call our bed tax. And as you can see, we actually have state legislation, because it's a tax, it has to go through the state, and that came into being in 2004. That language allows us to amend to adopt and amend a local law, which the county did in 2004 to establish the bed tax. At that time, it seemed to be just pertaining to hotels and motels and inns or bed and breakfasts. We've had some discussion over the last couple of years as to perhaps missing a market now that's been pretty prevalent in the county, and that's lots of homes and camps that are rented out over the certain periods, maybe in the summer, sometimes during snowmobile season, and we're missing that market. I did check with some other counties who have expanded their definition to include those overnight lodging facilities as well, and in so doing, we can also then have an agreement with online services such as Airbnb, who are actually marketing a lot of places in Lewis County. So we tried to show you some of those statistics as well. So in the packet tonight, you also have the resolution to set the public hearing to amend a local law, so we can expand the definition that's in that law to include basically short-term rentals of homes, camps, and other facilities like that, and capture that market. Once that's in place, we can then enter into an agreement with Airbnb, and they, for any of the properties that they service online, they will be collecting the tax and remitting it to us on behalf of the owners.
So Joan, if we do this, how do we enforce, like, an individual, say, like, if I own a camp on a lake and I rent it out all summer long, how are we gonna enforce that under that if someone isn't using Airbnb?
So it would be the same thing, that they would have to register with us. That part of the law still stays the same. They have to register with the treasurer. The treasurer, they have to send in quarterly reports, I think it is, Patty? And with those reports, they have to show how many times they rented out the facility, and pay the 5% tax on that. And if they don't, there's all kinds of mechanisms that the treasurer has for enforcement.
I know Essex County right now is going through this.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going a step further. They're claiming they're losing full-time residents because of the short-term rentals. I mean, it's reading a lot of emails about that. Which
Well,
in return, they're claiming is reducing the number of students they have in their local schools because they are bringing in families. I mean, I don't think we're going to that direction. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
I got a question for you, Pat. How many are delinquent currently?
I believe there was just one.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
you've had several that are.
Yeah, when you get those reports, I don't really consider those delinquent. It's saying, okay, they missed the 20th, the maybe August 20th date by 10 days, you know, or whatever. And a lot of times those reports are 0. So there's really just been one that has been
Consistently.
right,
you know,
right. But everyone else,
So what happens to that delinquent one?
they eventually pay, but sometimes it takes Joan sending her letter out. Because we send out a reminder letter, and then if it goes too long, we give it to Joan and she sends out a letter. And they eventually come in.
I would offer that, in particular with Branningham, the number of those camps up there, this market is huge. Now, I would say 2/3 of those camps up there are rented on a weekly basis. How many of them are actually through an Airbnb or something like that?
Right,
Versus word of mouth?
right, we have no idea.
But, I mean, the revenue that's,
What we're going to be doing is going on the chamber site, going on Airbnb, and now looking for anybody that's advertising that their
Right.
camp. But you're absolutely right, if it's word of
It's
mouth,
huge.
you're gonna have to, it's gonna take the next person over that's paying to tell on them.
some of them are renting for like $3,000 a week.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
It's huge.
yeah.
And that's what I was trying to find, I mean, how are we gonna go about in
Right.
Policing it.
policing it? I mean,
Well,
It's gonna take the
it's
people.
gonna, it's
gonna
gonna
take
take
a
the
while.
word of
Yeah.
mouth.
But, and I also think, you know, we could probably send out a flyer. We can get a list of all the, homeowners along the lake
Mhm.
and send out flyers to them, notifying them that this is in process now, and if you're renting out your facility, you have to get in touch with the treasurer's office and do something.
Cause I would assume the majority of them properties Larry's talking about are all cash in hand and aren't even
Well,
reported,
you
so.
know, the taxes up there are
Yeah,
very high, and this is how they're paying their tax
Yeah.
bill.
And it's 5%, so for instance, if somebody is renting out their place for $1,000 a week, let's say, it's $50 that they're gonna be paying, it's not.
No, it's $50 the person that's renting is gonna be paying, they're not
Right,
gonna lose it.
right,
right, over and
Right.
above,
They're
right.
They're still
you have
getting
to
the money
charge
to pay
them
the
for
taxes
it.
with, which is the good part of it.
Right.
Yeah, so they'll be able to pay their taxes,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
yeah, the people using it are gonna pay the same.
The
And that's
interest-
gonna be key to the people understanding that, cause they don't,
Yeah.
but every place, any of us that travel in here have paid that
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
Anytime you stay in a motel, it's listed
It's
right
right there.
Yeah, they're-
I'm sorry.
So the interesting thing is Patty and I actually went onto the Airbnb site a few months back, maybe even 6 months back, and we actually recognized some properties in Lewis County, and then Patty's office sent them a letter. And so we started, you know, so we found a few people that really should be paying their
Right.
tax.
That they already fell under
And
the
there's
hotel
not,
bed and
yeah,
breakfast.
yeah, that's the other one, vacation by
Yeah.
owner. So there's a number of sites out there that, I think it's worthwhile, it's part of that's the way people are renting properties now, so
Right.
I think it might be the way to go.
So what's next? I rent my tractor, we're gonna charge 5% on that too. Where does this end?
Well, this is a hotel motel,
I'm just
kind of-
asking, where's
it's a
this end?
it's a lodging facility, John, it's
No,
not
it's
a
not.
matter of.
That's my private property. I'm sorry.
Already paid property tax.
That's right.
So,
I ain't gonna tax me twice.
No, we're not taxing you at all, that's why I said. what I
We are.
it's the
said.
people who are
We're
staying
taxing
there.
the people who are staying there, you're
They're
not.
staying there,
paying
they're
them.
still paying it.
No, you're not.
You
The
talk to that
person
individual,
that's
see how he feels about that. See if he feels he's being taxed twice.
I pay every place I
know
go.
would.
Doesn't matter
I'm
where
not
I
talking
go.
about motels, I'm talking about individuals who own a home.
I go down to the Caribbean, I pay it
That's
down
fine,
here.
I don't care if
It's
it
the
does. I don't agree with
same
that.
thing.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, but I'm just saying, it's the new and coming thing up there.
So are you looking for a motion to put this up for a public hearing?
Well, you have,
or-
it's all in the packet.
It's on the packet.
It's in the packet for the amendment to the local law.
Okay.
But we just wanted to give you a little bit of background so you knew about it.
The only other thing on here, if I could just say, there are some actions that can be taken in here for people who do not keep up with us. I think you're gonna have to consider taking some of that. If we enlarge our base, if we have to pay, because you're gonna have more people. So, if you don't put some teeth in this, it's not gonna work out.
John, and I understand where you're coming from, but also, I mean, I know, and I think we've heard it before about the hotels and motels have complained how the bed tax, they have to charge a bed tax, and these rental properties, like for vacations and stuff, don't have to pay anything. That's how the bed and breakfasts ended up in this. I think we did that here a few years ago too. So I mean, just to give you somewhat of an idea, I mean, really, it's trying to be consistent across the board. I understand the private homes, but they're basically doing the same thing that the hotels are, just on a larger scale, family-wise, so.
And the hotels are
I
complaining.
mean, I
that they're
understand what
losing-
you're saying.
They're losing people that stay in the hotels to these private
Yeah.
places because they don't have to pay the tax.
But I agree, I mean, when is it gonna get to the point that we aren't allowed to do anything with our own property? So I understand what you're saying.
What's the tractor you have for that?
Is it the Kubota or your Alice Chalmers? I said, what's for rent, the Kubota or the Alice Chalmers?
Everyone,
Okay, you're all set then, Joe?
Yeah.
All right. Patty, you've got a capital projects account, thing you wanna present to us?
So if you'll recall, Patty, if you don't mind,
No, go
jump
ahead.
right in. Last year at budget time, Patty and I presented, a budget neutral, a tax neutral budget, and then the board decided to raise an additional $300,000 so that we can start preparing for capital improvements and a future bond payment. We did that, and we have successfully raised the $300,000. The only question now is where to appropriate those funds. So if you choose to do nothing, that $300,000 will go into the general fund, which is fine, that's our general savings account, but you then risk that it gets used up for hospital IGT or something else. So if you raised it specifically to, start thinking of and preparing for capital projects, then we need to put it in a fund to save it. So what you have here is our current list of capital projects, funds. Each of these are their own bank account, more or less.
Right, I understand.
You know what
It's
I
their
mean.
own cash, right?
Their own cash, you keep track of them separately.
I wasn't looking at you critically.
Well, it's taking a long time for you to explain that to me. Essentially what we're saying is you can either allocate the $300,000 to one of these accounts or create a new account that you're gonna set aside specifically for a new project or specifically for future bond, whatever you might wanna call it. So the task is you have $300,000 that can either stay in the general fund, be appropriated to one of these funds here, or be appropriated to a new fund. And that's what the committee will be tasked with today.
Where's the 300,000 right now?
It is unappropriated.
It's sitting in the general fund.
Okay.
It has to go to one fund, it can't be split
No,
up?
it can
You
be
can
split.
split, sure.
Just so you know, the radio
I'm
one
just
is
gonna ask that
actually
question.
going to be closed, so it's on there because it was in the list, but that's being closed.
Where's that 110?
That's going back in the general fund.
Okay, so we got
Some of these bridge
400.
accounts.
What about the
are
bridges
closed.
too, correct?
The bridge accounts are fairly new right now. I didn't put on the two that we just closed recently.
Jurgen Falls Bridge is only open because of the stone issue that we talked about earlier.
So
But the other
really-
ones haven't been done yet.
We wouldn't put money there then.
No.
So if the,
Right.
I wouldn't recommend putting any money in the
No,
bridge accounts.
no.
Those are all separate accounts that we have to create because we're handling state and federal reimbursement.
And most of them are reimbursed fully by the state and federal anyway.
We only do 5% on those
5%.
bridge
So when you said a special fund, if we made a special fund, just put this in, instead of putting it back in the general fund,
Mhm.
and we get to pick and choose where it goes.
Yes. Well, you get to choose, pick and choose where it goes with the general fund too. It's just not
It could go-
specified.
It's
Yeah,
not
we just
specified.
make a specialized
So
fund.
if you say if you specialize that, put that $300 in a specialized fund, that's all that money can be used for, correct?
Right, but I would say you'd have to be very specific as to what you want that money to be used
Used
for,
for.
because capital accounts are usually for a specific project.
Right.
So, you'd have to say that we want it for, I can't even think of anything, but renovations to something, or, but again, you have your highway building already there, a DSS building, capital account already there.
But,
Yep, go
I
ahead.
believe that we went to that 1.97% increase in taxes last year for this $300,000 for building projects. That's why we passed it, otherwise why would we raise $300,000 in taxes if we didn't need to?
So what I'm understanding you to
It'd
say,
be a
Greg,
building
is to
project.
create a new,
No, for one of the building projects.
yeah, new account for, specifically for building projects.
Well, no, we already have building projects on there.
You have DSS building
And the
Yeah,
highway.
and
and the highway.
Right.
I mean,
We don't have an account, well, we do, you know, like, for example, we wanted to do the, tuck pointing of the courthouse. If that bid would've come through where we wanted it and we ended up doing it, we would've done that out of buildings and grounds capital.
right,
So, there are things that if you go into buildings and grounds capital, we do use for, you know, those types of capital projects. But if you had your idea of saving it for some grander, larger thing, like Patty's saying, you'd wanna identify what that is.
How would you word that? That's what we're looking at doing.
If you wanted to do, create a new, a bank account essentially, I mean, there's really no laws on how specific it has to be. I mean, the auditors want you to be specific, but you could say future bond payment or something like that. I don't know, Patty is better to answer that actually.
Well, again, future bond payments are made out of the general fund. So if we were to say they were for future bond payments, I would then have to ask for your permission to transfer it back into general fund when a bond payment would be due.
Future building,
Do you have an idea in mind, John?
I was just trying to think how we did it with school projects. Like, a lot of schools, 1% of their sales tax goes just to a building fund project.
So
I don't know how
if
they
you
word
wanted
it.
to say
So
that it
that's all
was
it
for
can be used
future
for.
building
Cause I agree with Greg, I
projects,
think that's why we put
I
that
don't have
in
a
there,
problem with
for
that, but
new
you
building
can't
projects.
say that, okay, now I wanna use it for buying a tractor for there.
right.
It's a building project,
So it'd have to have something to be renovating or building or something like that.
but you can always move the money by resolution.
Right, but, I mean,
That's what I'd like to word it, something to do with
Dick,
new
Ron,
construction
Tom?
projects, and then, you know, like you said,
Is it a stupid
a
question?
resolution would be passed,
there's no
What's-
stupid
What's
questions.
the downside of just leaving them the way they are?
cause they can put it back in general fund.
Yeah, it has to go someplace.
It's
Oh,
got,
Has
it's
to
gotta
go
go
to
someplace.
Okay.
It's just
Unless we
talking
do
about
that.
So this
$300,000.
money isn't actually in there?
No, that's all in there.
This is all in
Yeah.
there, Ron.
Yeah.
This is the $300,000 we raised over this year with that 1.9%
So I gotta put
increase.
$300,000 down here.
Yeah, so you got another $300,000 you can distribute to all these here, except for two of them, the radio.
But
and
actually, we
your-
got 410. If she just said that 110.27's gotta go someplace too. Correct.
Right,
So you
right,
can choose not to
We
send
choose
it back
both
to
of
general.
them.
Yeah.
right,
And number 2 on our list is the highway garage,
yeah.
so it might make sense to put it under there, because I hate to say it, but if we were to do a new office building, we kinda said we're gonna pay with that with the windmill money, so it might better be under the highway garage. Just
If
a
I,
thought.
if I could editorialize for a second.
Sure.
Patty and I disagree on this point. I think we have too many project accounts. I think you should have a capital account, a general fund, and then as you start a project, start an account for it. You know, you guys like to think in terms of, you know, compartmentalizing all the money. Like, well, someday we're gonna need a new highway building, so every year we'll put 200,000 towards it. To me, I would rather us have a 10-year plan and all the money together and work off that 10-year plan one at a time as we go. So, but this is kind of the system that we have
So
right
put
now.
it to the 10-year plan.
I mean, go ahead, Rick.
I totally disagree with you, Ryan. I'm old school and I'm compartmentalized because when my parents raised, as they raised me, they had envelopes in a little book and they slid the money in there to pay NIMO this much out of this paycheck and this much. And that's the way I learned how to budget things is you've gotta have it in separate accounts so that you know what you got. You don't go forward and well, I got a lot of money in that big pot, I'm gonna use it all on this project, you know, that's
There-
what can happen.
And I understand the simplification of what you're saying, Ryan, but then, like what Greg's saying, and to be honest with you, we do that, Penny and I do. We have envelopes set up for our
The Dave Ramsey
insurance,
system.
everything, yep, the Dave Ramsey system. And that money is strictly for that bill, so, I mean, I agree with Greg. The problem with putting it all in one big glob, and you don't know who's gonna be here for board 4 years down the road. I mean, this way here, future boards have an idea what the vision of the past boards have, so I kinda like this
I like the
system.
program.
And I have to tell you, I do it for accounting purposes, because
Yeah.
the auditors do want to know how much we've spent on each project.
Well, sure, when you have a project. So, all I'm saying is, rather than having DSS building account that sat there for 10 years with $200,000 in it, highway account that sat there for 10 years with $1 million in it, and we don't have any vision of which order, which projects are gonna go, this money sits idle, and it's not being used productively to help us keep our systems up, because it's too compartmentalized. That's all I'm saying. If you had it in one pot, and then you had a plan of how exactly you're gonna attack your buildings every year, you wouldn't need to have all these accounts.
DSS building, is that money just for a DSS building, or can it be
Any
used for?
construction, because that account was used for the parking lot.
Okay, so it could be used for an office building that includes DSS?
Absolutely.
Or it could be used to repair
Mhm.
something at the DSS
Yes.
building?
Mhm.
I think we
Right.
should put that 300,000 in that account. We've got it for repairs, or we've got it to go towards our thoughts on the building.
So going back to Dick's point, do you want the whole 410 to go there, or?
Or do you wanna split it either time?
Uh,
Put it all in?
Yeah,
But then just quit telling people that there's no taxpayer money going into their new office building, because what they
Yeah,
want to do is I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie
if
to
we-
the taxpayer.
Right, if we rob from this, it
Yeah.
definitely is
Yeah.
taxpayer money going.
And that's fine too, I
Yeah,
think, with
yeah.
most
But
people,
even
if they
if you
understand.
used it for renovations
Yeah,
instead,
then you'd
you
be-
can
yeah.
use it for either one.
Either
Yeah,
one.
that would be fair, yeah.
So, do I have a motion to put the 410,2794
Yep.
in the DSS building?
yep, I'll make a motion
I
to do
got,
that.
I got Tom with a motion, seconded by Ron, all in favor?
Whoa, how about some discussion?
Okay, you want discussion?
If we could for a second, and it's just so that when it comes to we've thought of it before we vote on this. In an earlier report, we looked at the highway department down there, we looked at the inefficiency of those windows. I've sat here for 6 years and those windows have been in.
Mhm.
I'm wondering why not put some of it there and solve some of our heat problems in that building, because I don't see us building a new building for that for a while. And so you could make that pretty energy efficient with just those windows, cause it's just like being outdoors.
Do we,
So I
do they
just
have,
offer that for
do
a
you
while.
have an estimated cost on it?
Let me run and go look, yeah, I think it was windows and metal siding,
Yeah.
cause the bricks aren't.
Yeah,
Right.
well, both of them are energy projects for that.
Right,
Who made the second on that motion?
Ron did.
But couldn't you, even if you moved it over all in one lump to that DS, you can still move that money around, right, Patty?
Yeah, like Patty.
Later
By
on.
resolution.
By
You
resolution,
should be able to later on.
You can move it back to the highway,
Right.
say you get DSS up to, well, we'll leave the 208, say you put the 400 in there, you could put that 400 back over to the highway and make it $1,400,000.
You could, yeah. Now, while he's
That was
looking at
the
that,
thought.
Jerry keeps saying there's $800,000 from something. You've heard him say that before, Patty.
It's the windmill
The
money.
window money there.
Where is that money right now?
It's, well, it was used already this year, so
So
it's.
there isn't an
it's
800,000.
Not
Not
for
this
this year, but next year.
Next year, because the radio project is closed out. That was the money we used towards the radio project.
I don't think he thinks that, so I think that's.
So why not just put that money into a building project fund?
Throughout a specific building, so it's, can you do that?
Yeah.
Actually, that's kinda what I was advocating for, I would, if you don't have a specific project in mind, put it all under one umbrella, and then when you're ready to do highway, say our budget for this is 3 million, then you create your
I'll
highway.
just separate them out back general fund, let's go in that one.
Patty, you can do, for the auditors, that's all right. There's no project set yet.
Right, again, I think you have to be specific to say that it's for building,
For building, yes.
for building projects, but not necessarily for a s- a
Building, and
specific
building projects could also mean renovations.
Exactly.
Right, mhm.
So the highway project, it's called exterior and roof, replace windows, insulate walls, $360,000. That's the estimate
So,
Yes.
from
so
Bernie.
there, you got the 300 and the 110 that pays for it right there.
I just raised the.
Yeah.
No, and I
I
like
mean-
that, Dick, I take it, you know, that way.
You can move that money right into the highway if you want, or
I
if
would
you
just
want
put it into a
a building fund.
building fund.
Well, now, do you wanna leave the DSS money where it's at and the highway money where it's at, or you wanna put that all in one?
No, I think DSS.
You wanna leave it the way it is?
I would.
Okay, alright.
I just
So,
think,
but we have a motion on the floor, so do we wanna amend the motion that Tom has amended?
Does Tom,
Tom,
will
do
Tom
you
accept
wanna,
an amendment?
would you accept an amendment, Tom, or?
Yeah, well, I guess depending on what we're amending it to.
Well, okay, I guess the suggestion is to create a new account, buildings account, and put that 410, 2794 right into building projects account. And leave DSS money there and alone, and the highway fund alone.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do anything with the highway, take it out of the money.
Take, yeah, we got money either way to fix the highway.
Yeah, I got no problem putting it into a building account.
So then I need a motion to amend.
Make
Do
that.
I need a second? Okay, any discussion now?
I
Okay.
just think it looks better
Okay,
to go back to the taxpayer and say, where's that 1.9% that's going to our building?
Okay,
I'd
all right.
rather- I don't
So-
know, we're good at our school systems.
all in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so moved.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
will then, this is not the final say, we'll have to create a resolution
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do
Yep.
all that, and then the full board will have to vote.
Okay, yep.
What did you want that account name? Building projects or
Is,
building?
how would you like that, building projects
I
account?
wrote down capital building accounts.
Yeah, okay,
There you
capital
go.
building
That sounds
account.
good.
Anything else, Patty?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right, Ryan, you said that you,
I do, I put it at the end, but we can do it now.
do you wanna do it now?
Sure.
So they can leave, or do you wanna do the docket, or somebody wanna do the docket? It's up to you.
Is there any controversial dockets for these guys that are here?
The only one with employment is just, Ashley's up.
Right, right.
And I'm assuming that passed in the Health and Human Services.
Yeah, the deal there is that we don't have the title anymore, that's the last person that had it, and
Had
she's
it.
retiring,
Okay.
so
That's fine.
we had to change the title. Yeah, as long as, you know, everything else is fine,
Now
but
we
you guys.
changed the motion on there too.
Oh, right, yeah. I don't think they have to do the motion though, do they?
It's listed in there, yeah.
It's for both committees.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that when we get to it, but do you wanna get into this, the budget thing, Bob?
Yeah, why don't we get into the
Okay.
budget then?
So last year, I presented my budget in October, included all of the, well, let me back up for a minute. My theory on budgeting is that all major changes that the department wants to make, you should plan for, think about, and prepare for those changes in your budget. That obviously includes personnel changes. So at budget time, we've asked our departments to bring forward any operational changes that they wanna make that involves personnel. So that we're not doing things mid-year, we've got everything prepared. So, last year I put it all in the budget, and I was told that we wanted to run those things through committee first. So, since the budget is due next month, here is the running things through committee first. Here you go, Cassandra, and the final version. position there. So, you'll see we have 9 or 10 items here that were requested by department heads. They're just in alphabetical order by department. We can run through them one by one and let you guys kind of discuss and give feedback as we go.
Brian, question
Yes.
for you, there's a manager recommended column,
Yes,
got some yeses and some noes.
Yes.
Who's that manager?
me, county manager.
Just want to clear it up.
Just like our budget, you got your manager recommended column, board approved type thing.
I just,
Yep. Okay, county clerk. I don't think it's a big secret that the new county clerk will likely promote someone to become the new deputy since the existing deputy is retiring. When that promotion, not to let the cat out of the bag, but we're kind of, you know who that might be. When that person is, set forward, that's gonna create a vacancy that Linda has said is not critical for the operation of her department. She would rather fill it with a part-time floater that could help out at DMV rather than keeping the full-time clerk. So there's lots of questions associated with this. One is that really her decision because she's on the way out and there's a new clerk coming in, but we're budgeting for next year now, so we've gotta kinda talk about it. I think the part-time floater for DMV is a good idea, but I have a counteroffer, which I want you guys to consider, which is that we currently pay Chamber of Commerce $10,000 a year to handle our ATV permit system. And I think anyone who's worked within that system can recognize that it hasn't been going the smoothest with the chamber. If we brought that in-house and had the county clerk's office do it, which makes a lot of sense, they can handle foot traffic, they, are paper pushers, paper processing folks, that could justify keeping that person there full-time. So essentially you've got your half-time floater and then the other half of their time could be spent administering our permit system with Jackie.
So you're suggesting to have the permits issued here, because I know we can't have them done at the DMV office.
Right. So they'd be downstairs in the clerk.
no,
Do you think that's convenient for, people wanting to get permits?
Well, they can go online and get them because we're gonna have our online system up and running.
Do that with the chamber too.
Right.
The plan was still to have the 6 businesses sell them. It just, the chamber does not wanna administer the whole thing.
Right.
So
This
the
is
chamber
gonna.
wants to get rid of it,
Yeah.
basically?
That or they want a lot more money.
Well, we already give them money, don't we?
We give them
10%.
$10,000 for this.
It's
Ten-
10,000 for this,
10%.
and then we give them the 75,000 for the
Match.
I Love New York.
And another 75 for this or that, remember? I think we've given.
That was a while ago, Greg. I think that was a one-time shot, wasn't it?
I hope so.
I think, Greg.
So are they
I think
gonna
all
come
we,
back for more money from us? If we
well,
take the 10,000
everyone comes
away?
in and asks for more money.
Greg, they get 10,000 now, but going forward with just the permit thing, they want more money to manage that. They say it takes more time than what the 10,000 is enough to cover the time.
So let me ask you this, Ryan, okay, and I think I hear what you're saying, is that we take on the permits, leave that position full-time. Can that position be created full-time as a floater, so whoever, which we all know who's gonna be the county clerk, is my brother, but, so that person can be used as a floater between
We
DMV
can.
and
I think that's
and
how
the
that's
clerk.
written.
Well, it's written to have a part-time,
Part-time floater,
yeah.
but then it says clerk and DMV, I think they mean a full-time position. Split
Oh,
part-time
okay.
between the two maybe, that's why I was
No.
gonna ask for
No,
clarity.
see
They
that,
want, Linda's proposal was to take the full-time senior keyboard specialist and eliminate it and just have a part-time
Part-time.
person that can help and fill in when necessary. What I'm saying is, have the part-time person that helps and fills in when necessary, and then keep it a full-time status and have the other half of their time do administration
I think
on the
that's what-
equipment.
That's what Brian and I are saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, see, the way it reads here is that they wanna get rid of the full-time person and create a part-time position for that position and let that part-timer float back and
I think
forth.
it's gotta be.
If we're gonna take on the permits,
Yeah.
I'm saying keep it
Yeah.
full-time,
Yeah.
but we can then look at, doesn't need to be senior keyboard specialist, we can look at what that position would look
Well-
like with those duties.
right, we'd have to look at that.
You're gonna have a deputy clerk position as well?
There is a deputy's clerk position,
That person's not retired.
She is.
That's the one that is retired.
yes.
So the deputy clerk is called a senior keyboard specialist?
No.
No,
No,
that's.
no,
There's
no,
another
no, that's
position.
entirely,
So what's this senior keyboard specialist?
There's two.
I'm
now.
extrapolating.
there's two downstairs.
Yeah.
Did they replace it, so you got two?
I'm
again?
extrapolating the current deputy's retiring.
Yeah.
The new deputy is going to be one of those two
Right.
senior
Okay,
account
that's where you're at.
clerks,
Okay.
keyboard specialists.
So they replaced Holly who went over to
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they filled that
They
position.
filled that.
So it's not as much, to answer Greg's direct question, it's not gonna be as much face-to-face, over-the-counter work. It's more back-end when all the businesses send you their big stack and you've gotta, send out all the mailings and make sure the club memberships are reimbursed and all that kind of administrative work is what's the burden really. We don't have that many people, I wouldn't expect that many people to walk in to get ATV permits.
And even when you do it online, it takes that person that's doing the work to put it together and send out the permit,
back
so.
year sticker and
Yeah, they have to make sure that everything was done correctly.
And actually, if we take it over, Greg, that's I mean, you could transfer that funding from what we paid the chamber over to the clerk's office.
You
and
know they're gonna come back and want that 10,000 back.
Yeah, well, you know that, we all know that, so.
Well, let's make it so.
Whether or not we decide to give it to them.
Well, they've already made their budget request this year and it doesn't, you know, it's not including an additional 10 to make up for this.
Okay, I'm fine, as long as you have Caitlin, as long as you check and make sure what we need for a position in there to be able to do what needs to be done at the clerk, at DMV and whatever. Is everyone else, how's that sound to the rest of us?
It sounds okay, but we ran into we tried to do this when the current clerk went down there, and we ran into some kind of, remember there's differences in the pay
That's,
from
there's-
DMV to
right, the
down
way
here.
that they're
We-
set up
we ran
now, the
into
way
some
that they're set
problem
up
with
now,
that.
because if I remember right, Dick, when this all came up is when the two out front wanted the
Yeah.
grade increase.
Yeah.
In that grade increase, yeah, that's where that fell in. They were trying to compare what they were doing to what the DMV clerks were doing.
Right, but they weren't
We had
even
the
going down to
clerks-
DMV.
Yeah,
Now we're
so
gonna
they're,
send that person
right.
down to DMV.
So I mean, that's
No, this is
Caitlin,
not a DMV position.
I'm
Well,
hoping that it can be a
What are they gonna do at
floater
DMV?
that will do DMV help and do the permit system.
and a permit, if it's allowable with type, with
Right,
the-
we'd have to look at that.
You have to look and see if it's
Could potentially be if
allowed.
it's a floater position where they get
Yeah.
paid, depending on what they're doing, they
Yeah,
get
you
paid a
have to
certain
look,
rate.
because we did have
Yeah,
a
we-
discussion on that.
yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, so everyone's all
Be
right
a
with
split position.
letting Caitlin move forward with this to see if we can actually do that? Ron, Dick, John, okay, all right. On to number 2.
Okay, let's take 2 through 4 as a group here because these are all requests from the district attorney. The General Services Committee heard from her last month about the changes that are coming down from Albany. We also heard this month from Mike Young, who talked about how his budget is essentially done over the next 5 years. This is what is happening across New York State. The investment that the state is making in public defenders is creating an arms race, where now Mike's adding 3 new attorneys and gets to bring expert witnesses to every trial. Now Leanne is feeling that she needs more assistance with the challenge that's gonna come from the public defender's office and the new discovery law. So she's made 3 requests here. I don't support, just my personal opinion, I don't support the new clerk position, I don't support the upgrade to paralegal. But the most economical actually would be to upgrade that part-time ADA to a full-time ADA. She wants it to be called first assistant. We don't, that's her request. I think just another ADA would be appropriate. So this is assuming that it's first assistant, which is a grade higher than regular ADA. So that's what has been calculated here. If you did just a regular ADA, that number would be knocked down to, around $50,000 essentially, mid-50s.
And Ryan, the
Yes.
designation of first assistant also means that that person steps in
Yes.
for the DA in the event something happens to the DA.
Yes.
That's
It is,
why
it is
it's
an
a different
official,
kind of-
it is an
yeah.
official title. The first assistant must by law live in the county. So that eliminates that whole issue.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that approved yet anyway, so.
Well, she does need it. She doesn't have an assistant right now, does she?
No,
She
Lives in the
left.
county.
Right now, no, we have a vacant ADA and a part-time, ADA, which
No.
cannot operate.
Cannot operate in a
any
corner.
longer.
But she's just asking for the assistant district attorney, she's not asking for, to have 3 of them, is she?
No, this would be, you'd have Leanne, district attorney, you'd have first assistant district attorney, which is just an ADA, and then assistant district attorney. You'd have 3 attorneys, essentially, in that office, and the existing office.
Instead of 2.5,
Part-time.
you'd have
Yeah.
3.
No,
Instead of
you have,
2.5.
right now you have 2.5, this would make it go to 3.
This is eliminate part-time EDA.
Yes,
Where does that say that?
Over in the notes.
Right corner, right
Oh,
corner.
eliminate.
so that's why I'm
So,
saying,
so you're gonna eliminate the one we've been paying $35,000 to, who's done 0 ADA work.
she isn't
Right.
really interested in working into 2020 anyways. So it will be very difficult for Leanne to find someone, honestly, I do believe this, you heard what Mike said earlier, we don't have attorneys here, no one's gonna work part-time in our office. I think you're gonna have a hard time finding someone to do that, that's just, my frank opinion.
So how many ADAs would we have under this?
You'd have 2.
One
You'd have
caller
Leanne and
first.
2.
Leanne and 2 others, yes. Yeah.
Not
So,
okay, but
So
okay, I
then,
understand it.
Yeah.
so what I'm hearing you say then, Ryan, create the first assistant, hire a second ADA, leave the confidential secretary where that person is,
yeah,
and do not create a new position clerk.
correct, yes.
So which is,
But if you upgrade the confidential secretary, paralegal, she can do more work.
I don't know if you're gonna get that much more out of, it's the same person in the same desk.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're really gonna gain from that, that's,
Other than she used to do more legal work. I
well,
believe.
also that person would have to pass an exam to become a paralegal.
paralegal. If they already are, I mean, I
So
don't.
if she doesn't qualify for paralegal, or he, whoever's in there, loses their job.
In talks with Leanne, she ranked these most helpful to least helpful. They're put in order there. Most helpful would be this one, second most helpful would be the upgrade, and the third most helpful would be create the new clerk. So I'm trying to support her, the biggest bang for the buck, the thing that's gonna help her the most. The other issue to consider here is that she's plans on putting in a VTL adjustment system, so when you get a traffic ticket in the town of Loudville, now you go through Loudville Town Court, the ADA has to show up, ADA has to do your reduction, whatever it may be. What other counties have done is they've set up an online system where you get your ticket, you go online, based on your driver history, you complete a defensive driving course, you automatically get it reduced and you don't have to go through the court. And we just take that fee directly, and so that could raise $40,000 a year in revenue for
That's
her
already
department.
implemented though.
Not in Bruce County.
Yes, it is. I have a friend that got a ticket over by Mark's Farm.
But that person sent a
And
letter
that
into
person
the
was
DA.
told by the state trooper to go online. I'm just telling you.
Well,
You don't go to the DA.
If that's not in place yet.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I know Warren County don't have it because I just went through it. So.
No, I'm
And I
not
haven't
there.
heard from the DA for 2 months yet.
So
There are about 11 counties
I'm
that
just
have
saying,
it.
I think she's already doing it.
I
You
can
figure
say
it out,
quite
not me.
confidently that she's not, because we've never budgeted for it, we've never bought the online subscription or anything to do it.
And you need a
We're
work
not
Why
getting
would
any
the
money
state
for
trooper tell this girl to?
Well, she might be able to get the information what she needs to do
Right.
online.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the way Warren County set up.
Yeah.
Instead of you calling, they don't
Right.
want you to call. You go
They don't want you to
online.
stop.
They give you all the steps, and you can download the PDF
Oh,
to
maybe
fill
that's
out.
it.
And then you submit
Yeah,
that
then
to
you
the
submit
DA's
that to the
office and
DA.
you wait for them to answer.
Okay,
it.
that
But
might
that's
be
how
it.
that's how I did it with the Warren County.
Okay, that might
DA's
be it
office,
then.
so.
So
Because I
Leanne's,
wasn't there, so that's what she said.
Leanne's pitch is that she's doing this new VTL program, which will help offset, if you look at the 68,000, she anticipates that she can make around 40 with this new program. That brings it down to 28,000. That's kind of her pitch to the
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you eliminate the part-time for 35,000, now you're only upping it by 35,000.
No, that's with the 35,000.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is.
that's with the 35. No, I took the real, the real true cost,
What's the total
What can I-
increase in cost, Ryan?
the total increase is 68,965.
Overall?
Yeah, minus you could even say minus the 40,000 that she'll raise, but I didn't put
Right,
that in there.
right.
The total increase is 68,965. The total employee cost is like 110.
Right, because you're gonna hire that second,
If you if you call it first assistant,
yeah.
Leanne even told me, you know, that's something that maybe, because right now she's at 2 new people, she wouldn't want to make one a first assistant right away because she wants to see which one's going to be the best. So she would want to start them at ADA anyways. So it'd be even less for 2020, but anticipate having, you know, that become the first assistant at some point. So.
What do you guys think?
First assistant has to live in the county?
Yes, by law.
Well, you're talking about just making an ADA and skipping the first assistant, right?
You could do that too.
Well,
Well,
we
an
might
ADA is
be able
supposed to live in the
recruit
county
somebody
until
that
we
can
get
move
the
up here to,
thing
you
set.
know, if they're gonna be the first assistant.
So for 2020 anyways, it wouldn't even be first assistant, it'd just be ADA.
Does the ADA have to live in the county?
Yes.
Yeah, until the governor signs our bill, which he hasn't yet.
Well, that was for the part-time one
Well, it's
It
for
would
an
be
ADA.
for
though. For any
any
ADA?
ADA.
It's a waiver.
Well, I think if they're in a management position here, they should live in the county.
I do too.
Yeah.
So what are you guys' thoughts on all this?
But they probably won't because we're gonna charge bed tax on those rental properties.
On the, what did general because she presented this to the general services committee.
She gave a general budget
Budget.
overview. We didn't get into specifics.
Oh, you didn't, okay.
There's a whole bunch of grade creep in here, I will mention that, folks.
There's a lot of walk.
And I like the grade creep of grades, in other words, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade,
Yeah.
upgrade.
Well, there's only 3 that I'm recommending. This is one of them. The other ones I'm not.
No, but I'm saying of all of them, upgrade emergency management,
Yeah.
upgrade 2
Yeah.
MEOs,
Yeah.
upgrade crew leader.
Yeah.
You know,
And I'm not recommending.
that's one thing as managers I was taught to guard against.
Well, it is, and just to give you an idea, like, an increase and an upgrade, I mean, we usually get the cost up front.
Yeah.
You never get the total cost of what it is on the tail end when we pay the retirement. I did some research today and
Oh, that's why they. you want to
it's
keep an eye on
really,
it.
it's really interesting how much it ends up costing at the end of 30 years.
Based on
What
high
a
figures,
2
sure,
grade
that is.
increase is compared to what the grade that they're at now.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really is, so.
That's why they caution you.
So I'm not recommending any grade increases in this budget actually, but there was requests for grade increases.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
Pass the test.
we're on this one right now, so what does everyone think about what Ryan is possibly suggesting? I mean, we're still gonna have to discuss this in full board.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I kinda like what you're talking about as far as the first assistant and then creating the other ADA.
like bumping it down to ADA, you mean?
Right, well, no, you were suggesting creating, okay, you got the first assistant.
Where's
Mhm.
create
then-
the second DA? I don't.
Well,
think
that's
DA.
something he had just thrown out.
Oh, okay, just.
No, there's
There's already,
there's already
Oh,
a
okay, you-
vacant ADA position.
there's already a vacant ADA position.
Right, no, okay, right, but
This is-
refilling that too.
Refill
Right,
that as
right,
well.
right. Let me reword that, that's what I meant, I'm sorry.
So,
2 ADAs.
so right now we have, if you were to look at it, you have a district attorney, 1 ADA, and 1 part-time.
Right.
So we'll go from 1 district attorney and 2 full-time ADAs.
Gotcha, that's what I
And,
thought.
Yeah.
and then down the line, we're saying as soon as, cause both of them will be new, if this were to go through.
Sure.
Both would be new, so after seeing the
6 months to a
performance,
year, yeah.
you would see who could maybe step forward to a first assistant.
Okay.
That would be, down the line.
And the difference between the ADA and the first assistant,
Grade 3 in our management plan to grade 2, so
Yes.
quite a bit
so what are
actually.
we talking for money?
We're talking 15 grand at least.
Okay,
Right,
Oh,
but to start, both would start as
Just salary.
ADA.
yeah, okay.
So,
And nothing with the clerk position.
No,
Right, so
then-
that would not put forward the clerk or the secretary to a paralegal,
Right.
if
Yeah.
that's
I
what
would agree with
Ryan.
I'd like to have her explain that though.
What's that?
I'd like to have Leanne explain that paralegal position to us and that clerk position to us, you know, as a board. Because they, even though they're, you know, I mean, they're lower on the totem pole up there, but I think she's probably got a need for that too. A paralegal can do more than a secretary can do. That's just the way it is. Maybe she has a necessary need for that because the caseload's gonna be going up.
Well, I would assume if she's requesting this, that person already has a qualification to be a paralegal.
Probably.
She doesn't?
She would have to take the test.
She'd have to take the test, so I see, that's the only thing that would worry me, Greg, because if she takes a test and she doesn't score high enough on it, then that
Then
person's
she
out.
becomes the clerk, right?
Yeah, so.
Well,
No, the clerks
Quite a
weren't
drive.
gonna do anything with.
those are also both the, you know, that upgrade is a union upgrade too, so,
And the
you know,
union,
we've said before, if that's something they feel they wanna fight for, they can
you know,
fight for it in their own process.
There is a clerk there now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mary's in
Yeah,
there.
Mary.
Okay.
She wants another
She wants a
clerk,
second one.
yeah.
And how much are we spending on, public defender?
Well, our commitment hasn't gone up, it's around
The state.
250, I thought.
It's $404,000 for, Lewis Defenders, for McCluskey's, and assigned
Yeah, but
counsel.
out of our pockets is only.
No, it's
it is
400,
400.
yeah, 'cause we don't
400,000.
get any reimbursement for
Okay,
that.
so 400, and it's going up 400 plus $720,000 by the end of 2022. So their budget is gonna basically double over the next 4 years.
So I
But
thought
we'll
the
get the
state
reimbursement
will
for
reimburse some
the
of that.
for
second.
this second.
That is not gonna cost us any more money,
Okay.
but their resources are gonna be more.
Right.
Right, okay.
But
But they still have to bill,
400,000.
right? Cause
Yes.
Mike said he doesn't know how he can actually ever
Right,
bill
he
enough
might
to
have
get that.
not actually use it all.
So it doesn't mean he's gonna get all that, he has to bill to it.
Alright, so, let's go back to this then.
So what we can,
Do you wanna suggest, do the 5 years wanna let Ryan suggest to go create the new ADA, refill the open ADA that we have? That'll solve this, that's what Ryan suggested.
Mhm.
And then at a year's time, whichever one they feel would be better at it would be moved up to the first assistant.
I live with it.
I like that idea, and I know it's gonna cost more money though. But if she puts that VTL in, you said there's chance of about $40,000.
well, we said we do about 125 tickets a month, and it's about 200 a pop, so 40 is a little conservative.
Conservative, okay, so that'll offset some of that cost.
So just to clarify, this is, I'm getting
Yeah.
feedback for what's gonna go in the budget. Once it's in, you guys wanna do a resolution and take it out,
Right.
That's
Yeah.
part of our whole budget process. I just don't wanna blindside you with all the
No,
personnel
that's fine,
stuff.
I appreciate that, so.
Okay,
So,
anything else on district attorney?
anything else? Okay, let's move on to emergency management.
Okay, this is the third budget that I've been here, and this is the third budget that this department has made this request. It comes out of our biannual audit from the state. You've heard Bob talk about COOP and COG, continuing operations and continuance of government. We constantly get dinged on COOP and COG. It doesn't mean anything, we don't lose money, but we get dinged on in our audits every year because you're supposed to have the ability to run a consecutive 36-hour operation during an emergency. We don't have an assistant director, so Bob, after 24 hours, you know, really 18 hours, is supposed to tap out and let someone else be emergency management director while he gets some sleep. Or, you know, you're supposed to have continuing of operation. Making this person the deputy director would allow, you know, us to have better COOP and COG capabilities. It also would bring the position to 40 hours a week and bring it out of the union. I have beat this back the last two budgets, and I don't recommend it again in this budget. It doesn't gain us very much. I think that the person that's in that position does a wonderful job. It certainly, you know, deserves to be recognized, but I don't see where us as an organization gain a whole lot from that. It's just more expense. That's just my personal opinion, so. during a serious emergency where we need to operate for 36 hours, the governor's helicopter is gonna be landing on the ground, so I don't think having an assistant director is gonna make that big of a difference.
I'm not big on deputies. I was one, they did away with my position, they didn't refill it, and they kept right on.
Kept it on.
Yeah, and like Ryan said, you know this as well as I do, if there's a major emergency like that, state emergency is gonna come in anyways.
And Bob's not gonna let go, I'm sorry, but
He'll be
that's the way he's
36
wired,
hours.
he ain't going into place.
So, okay, so I think we pretty much got a consensus on that one, alright.
2 highway positions, we've got 2 employees that are backlogged, we've had some, retirements, we've allowed some people to move up, but we've got 2 employees that have been there, each of them, 5 to 7 years. Very good employees, but the way we're structured right now, there's really no advancement for them until someone retires, which could be quite a while, since we just went through a round of retirements. So, Warren's idea was to reward those 2, provide them some level of advancement. We could use the help, I mean, we kind of already get to use some of the heavy equipment, I mean, we do work with them, they're not out of grade by any means, but there could be benefit by moving them up. I'm not saying that it's useless to move them up. The county would get more skills and, more ability for heavy equipment operation. But again, I felt like it was something that was more of a luxury than something that we need, and so I was recommending that we do not do it.
So these 2 people, if they're there now, some event takes place, something happens, and they need to do something that's above their grade, and they're qualified to do it, they'll do it, right?
Yes.
So,
We work out a title on.
yeah.
They can work on a title they can do so many
30.
hours
It's just a
on a
temporary
title.
transfer, right?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the
After
case.
10 days, you automatically jump up to the.
You jump up, and then when you move back to your position, you jump back down.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the guys. These are our good guys. These are the guys that jump in a truck when we meet next year. They're the people that are showing up. They're doing the things. Warren wants to reward them and give them more responsibility, but
I
we
think-
don't need necessarily 2 more.
I think that's setting a real
So what I was gonna say
bad precedent.
was, if they get moved to do that higher grade position, they get paid to do that position.
Yes.
Yes.
So they're not getting beat out anything there. So all you're doing here is creating 2 new positions.
Well, all you're doing is giving them more pay all the
Right.
time.
All
You're helping
That's
them
what you're
through
doing.
retirement.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I respect the department head's ability
Yeah.
to come and request a raise for guys that they think are great. It doesn't mean it makes operational sense or, something we need to necessarily honor. So that's why I don't recommend that we
I
do
see
it.
this as a contract deal, but no.
Okay.
Okay.
IT, so this one I do recommend. Adam's here, he can speak on this. We have added, even since I've been here, countless software systems. We continue to add technology in our day-to-day operations. We just voted today to give for the DA to go paperless. We just did a month ago for the Sheriff's Department to go paperless. We've now got Tyler Munis running all of our, contracts and everything, so we have loaded up on the IT and we have not expanded our IT footprint at all. So Adam currently is an operation of 3, himself, Doug and Brandon. Basically this would add another Doug and Brandon. It would be another computer assistant. Total cost all in salary benefits is $74,000, and then of course, the person in the union, so steps and raises going beyond that. We also have a need for some website and kind of technology training. Some of the stuff that we wanted Brittany Davis to do with the IDA, she hasn't really had time to do that. She's been busy with her IDA stuff. We haven't paid out, we did $20,000 a year, we haven't paid out barely any of that this year for her help. So this person could pick up some of that slack as well. Adam, is there anything else you wanted to ask?
So that person could devote quite a bit of time to the website.
Either that person or people that we currently have on
Okay.
staff, so this would just, it might be Brandon, might be Doug doing some of that stuff.
So we
but
can terminate that contract?
another person.
Yeah, we're not really using it right now anyways.
I mean,
So
we can terminate that.
That 20,000
Yes.
would
Come back against this.
against this.
I mean, if we don't, we have to make sure that we do terminate that contract.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Otherwise, the money will still go over there, I'm sure.
It only goes when we get billed, and we're not getting billed, so we haven't sent it.
I mean, I think you're only gonna, in the future, I think you're only gonna see that department grow right steady. I really do.
My overall vision for where we should be from human resources, you probably all heard me say this a million times, but I think anything with the word keyboard or typist needs to be replaced with computer assistant and start filling these types of positions more than paper pusher types of positions. So I think this is if we're gonna add anywhere, I would add, this is a place that would be strategically a place to do that.
Good job. Sound good?
No, definitely.
Good. Ron?
I'm okay.
That's where we're headed.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is, for Jackie's department. Right now, we have Jackie that's full-time, and then we have four part-time people that come on, for the seasonal people that come on in the seasonal months, and then two, careers here helpers that come on that are not funded by us, that's funded through WEO, the workforce program. We manage, Jackie has built our trail system up every year. We build more and more trails. If you look at our JCC study every year, the thing we hear, 87% plus, everyone's talking about walking trails, biking trails, outdoor recreation, ATV. The county also has 6,000 acres of forest land that we manage and have forestation contracts and need to be tagged and walked and managed. And I think Jackie would be the first to admit that we haven't given those acreage and that forest management land our full attention that perhaps it deserves. And we could potentially even make more money. Last year we made $70,000 off of our forestation program if it were managed a little bit better and we had better tagging system and we were, really rotating through the acres, we might be able to do a little bit better. So this is basically to give Jackie a little extra help to take the crew leader position that is part-time now and bring it to full-time. It would be paid 50% through ATV funds, so not the county taxpayers' permits, 25% through forestry, so not the county taxpayers, but the forest harvest contract, and then 25% would be paid through our tax, the county taxes. The total cost is $47,000 because I'm subtracting what we already pay for this person to be here from, April to October. So it's, but now you got benefits too, where we're not doing benefits.
Now, the crew is here, like you just said, April to October.
Jackie?
They're only allowed to work 6 months.
Yeah.
Trails are open for 7 months,
Yeah.
so by the time we have closure, they're here 7.5 months. So I have to play leapfrog.
My
And
question
bring
is, what's he
one
gonna
on.
do when the crews aren't here? It's just you and him.
Then you struggle and you make do.
No.
No.
The other months.
What are
the
they
other
gonna
months.
do?
During
There's
the
still
winter.
other stuff to do. It would be helping me with the grant program for the snowmobiles. There would be helping with the app that we have that hasn't been updated in how many years. There's filing with mapping sources that we need to do that we're not keeping up on. There's,
Getting
harvesting,
access-
boundary
getting
lines
access
needs
agreements.
painting, signage needs to be updated. I mean, the list of what they can do year round is lots.
We're hoping for someone that that has some forestry knowledge too, that can do tree tagging and preparing lots for harvest and that type of thing, whatever. Okay, that's not you're not gonna hire me to do it.
Why couldn't
No.
you just hire another part-timer? And make it schedule at a different,
Cause it can't be anybody that already works, cause if you work more than 6 months, you have to give them benefits, so that means it has to be another person that's trained that can work the other months.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Well, make it.
And
make
right
it
now I'm
staged,
getting
get
retired
staged.
people and young people, and as soon as that young person gets on with the state plowing in the winter, I lose them. And retired people only won't work so long. So I don't have any consistency and no desire to people that wanna stay here.
Jackie, would you still need the same amount of people then in the summer then, that you have?
The hard part is I'm relying on careers here,
Yeah.
which they've changed that. Next year you can only have them for 2 years.
Uh-huh,
So as soon as you get them trained, they're gone.
right,
And they only want you to have one, so.
okay.
So that person would still be the crew leader
Right.
during the summer construction months.
Mhm.
But we'd ask them to stay on for the additional 6 months to help with the other stuff, record. Basically, if we're, this is the bigger picture that I'm seeing. If we're leaning as a county towards trying to become a place where outdoor recreation is part of our future, then we need to put our money where our mouth is. And right now we only have one person working full-time
Right.
to build up recreation in the county. We've done a hell of a lot, I would say, with that, but this would allow us to do a little bit more.
Jackie, like St. Lawrence County and Jefferson County, how many people do they have working?
They
Like,
contract it and they pay through the nose.
they contract all that out, do they?
Yep.
This offers continuity and progression,
Mm.
so it's not like she said, every year she gets different people, you start back from scratch, it just allows you to continue to move forward.
And I'm not juggling, okay, I put on one in April, one 2 weeks later, another one 2 weeks after that. This year I messed up because I got one out on medical, so
Yeah. No,
I'm out.
I understand, Jackie.
Do you feel that you could get more money out of the forestry end of it?
if
there
I
was-
had
if you have
another
time?
person on, I would have more time to devote
But
to
you're
it to
gonna-
see a reasonable level.
So this new person would be a full-time upgrade to crew leader. You already have a crew leader that you wanna upgrade? You
They
already
would
have-
cover both positions. They would cover trail crew in the summer. They would do, so it's
Forest.
already 50% funded through ATV.
No, but I mean, do you already have a person you wanna upgrade?
I would love to see Becky Yancey get it.
Well, I
But
mean,
it has to be posted, it has to be put out there.
But does that?
We don't know if it has to be tested, because
that
there's
person have
nothing out there
forestry?
like this.
Does she have forestry background?
She has experience working with me.
Okay, but I mean, a forestry background so that she can, do the proper job and
The
market.
hard part is, to run equipment here, you have to have a CDL, so that's priority one.
I just wonder about that, if you can raise funds from that forestry end of it. Where does that
We
forestry
can,
money
and
go?
that's where 25% of this proposed budget comes from.
It goes to operate,
So the county
yeah.
increase is only 25% of her salary, which is what, 17,000? With benefits?
Well, less cause you're
No.
taking minus the part-time, but
The money's supposed to be going back in the budget.
yeah, it does.
It
to
covers
help
the
with her
forestry.
You've got, basically the expectation from this board for, as long as I've been here, probably before that, is that forestry and ATV are self-sustaining, that pay for their own operations. So the ATV permits pay for our trail maintenance and crew. The forestry pays for all of our recreation activities and things that we do
No,
with
it covers taxes, insurance.
Oh, there you go.
Singing waters.
Well, the park, yeah. And then we pay, the remainder out of the property tax.
I know, Greg, since we've been here, I know Jackie's been finding the time, because she's by herself during the winter, to be able to do that certain percentage of the land management every year. She can't do that. I think what I'm hearing Jackie say, if she has this full-time person helping her, whether it's Jackie or this other person, Jackie will probably do the marking and like
I
that.
love that.
Have you do all that.
Well, if
So,
you're gonna hire this person, you want it to be a person that already
Flexible,
can do it.
everything, yeah.
Because you might go out sick, so then we don't have the person out there marking the trees to do it, the forestry end of it. So we'd really wanna hire somebody with some forestry knowledge,
Right.
some kind of,
But that part
degree.
can be trained.
Huh?
That part can be trained.
Well, yeah.
Having a CDL and be able to do the equipment is the bigger part, when
Well,
that's
CDLs
more than half of your.
CDLs can be trained fairly easily
Right.
too, so I already know that.
that's why there's a shortage of drivers, but that's
Right.
okay, you're entitled to your opinion, so.
You can drive, but can you run the equipment,
Yeah,
you
but
build the
the
road?
problem is who wants to do that
No
job?
testers can be trained.
So, forestry, David Linedecker didn't even finish high school, and he knows how to cut wood and mark, so.
You can run a business and do everything else.
I am fine with it, Jackie, but, the other four. I just wanna make everyone aware though now, let's start adding up all these increases that we're adding to,
Yeah, it's right there at the bottom.
yeah, so,
That's $190,000.
$190,000, so.
So the thing about doing it this way, where we go to committee first, is I don't have the budget done yet.
Right.
So I want, if, right now, I think we can do these things,
Mhm.
but maybe in a month, I might come back to you and say, yep, some of these aren't possible.
No, that's fine. So do I have a consensus with this person, with Jackie? Dick, do you have anything? Ron?
Okay.
John?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
All right, the last one.
So,
No,
Oh, that's simple.
we just started the
We're done
discussion.
here.
All in favor, we're done, there we go.
so the thought, the sheriff has come the last 2 years with a succession plan of 2-2-2, 2 every year for the next 2-3 years in order to have guys ready to go when the retirements happen. His thought is that what happened before was we had a wave of retirements and then it cost us big money all at once, to try to spread that out. So yes, it costs us big money all at once in 1 year for all the training, but that's still cheaper than hiring a guy for 3 years to wait for a guy to retire. So I would say.
Well, and I would argue that fact anyways, because the only reason he waited all that time is because he refused to replace the people, so. So we can go back to that discussion, so, yeah, no,
He's been in his current.
he doesn't, I mean, someone could say they're gonna retire in 2 years and change their mind, so.
He's been at the staffing level he's at for at least 6 years, right?
He's got
He's got more.
He's got more than he
Let
has.
me rephrase that, he's been at what he's at or more for the last 6 years.
Well,
So,
well, no, he was, 4 years ago, Dick, I do believe he was 4 less than he is now. Okay, he was either 4 or 5 less.
he didn't hire some.
Well, right, he didn't, he had the open positions, right,
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
He had the positions, yes, yes. He
He
didn't
didn't
have
hire
the bodies in the positions, but he had the positions.
His argument with road patrol is that his actual guys on the road has changed because he's got one working drug task force, he's got one that's doing rec patrol sergeant now, and he's got one that well, he's got 2, well, one became investigator, we didn't backfill. One became sergeant for drug task force, we didn't backfill. And one became sergeant for rec patrol, we didn't backfill. So he's saying he's down 3 total road guys, but his staffing is the same.
And I think, if I remember the conversation we had with him, we told him that we'll give you the staff and you can
do what you
use
want.
them, utilize them however you feel that you wanna utilize them.
Correct.
And the sergeant on rec patrol is actually the resource officer up to Harrisville and just filling in on the rec. I do
Road
believe.
patrol,
Cronizer is the new.
Oh, Cronizer
correct,
is the sergeant,
rec
but he doesn't
supervisor.
do that full time.
No, but that's taken away part of his
Well,
duties to the rec supervisor, so.
but road patrol and corrections. Corrections is mandated, we have to have.
Right.
Road patrol, not so much. So if we don't have an unlimited pot of money, where are you gonna, it's the only place we got to adjust.
Unless something's changed, all I've ever heard is these guys sit around eating donuts.
Well, he
That's what we were talking about here a couple of months ago.
He has a north car, Harrisville, and a south car, Osceola, and a central car. But for some reason, and I get around the county a lot, and so do you, I see the central car either with the north or the south car an awful lot. And I'm sure there's good reasons for that, but I don't know what they are.
The real good one,
Yeah. No, I can't support this, you
I
can't
can't.
do what you want.
I'm on every end of the county every day, so, but I'll keep my comments to
Yeah, you wanna drive.
myself. I know how to write letters to the DA.
There you go.
So, all right, the consensus is no. Okay.
Which is also
And
my
it, and mind you, I understand
And the
what the
reason
sheriff's
is,
trying
it's
to
a
do.
discretionary position.
Yeah, I understand what he's trying to do. Okay, so
That's it for me.
for that. So I guess all we have left is to move on to the dockets. This is one.
Docket number 2019-297, resolution to adopt local law number 5-2019 entitled a local law to authorize overriding the tax levy limit established by general municipal law for the Lewis County 2020 budget. Docket number 2019-299, resolution to set public hearing on November 5th, 2019 from 5 o'clock PM to 5:30 PM for local law intro number 5-2019 imposing a tax on occupants of hotel or motel rooms in Lewis County.
Is that the bed tax one we looked at? Okay.
What else?
Should we expand that definition beyond hotel or motel?
It's in the actual
It's in the
introductory
file.
local
Very
law.
good. That's all I got.
Docket number 2019-284, resolution authorizing transfers from special legislative contingency to fire and emergency department expense for allocations to the various fire departments in the county and to the Lowell Food Pantry. Fire and emergency department expense is $26,000, Lowell Food Pantry expense is $2,000.
We did the 2,000. This is music.
We didn't do the other half,
No.
okay.
Hey Brian, I got a question for you though, on
Yeah.
on that number 2, that resolution imposing the occupancy. And it just says hotel and motels, people really won't understand that, oh, we're gonna do Airbnbs and rental properties, summer rental properties or winter rental properties.
It's in
the
the
definition.
Yeah,
I
but
think
this
if you
is
look-
the one that tells you whether you wanna come and see it.
That's why I bought it.
That's just in our agenda
In the
item, the
definition.
actual,
The notice going out in the paper, is
the
it gonna tell them?
resolution is going to say, local law known as Lewis County Room Occupancy Tax Law, because that's the name of the new law.
That sounds, that's really not giving the public the right information. It's not telling them that the Airbnb or a summer rental, weekly rental property is gonna be 5% taxed.
It's in the, you're right, it's in the
It's-
local law. That's
It's in the
just
local
name of the
law, but they don't get notified of it.
Oh, they will.
They will, but
Yeah.
they're not gonna get
After
notified of
fact.
it so that they can show up at the public hearing.
Amazing,
Like
It
that.
just seems suspicious,
yeah.
you know? Why don't you want the public to know what's going on?
It's not a question of, first of all, they're gonna see the packets, anybody who looks at them is gonna see the packets. Our standard notice puts the name of the law in the notice.
If you look at that, imposing a tax on occupants of hotel or motel rooms in Lewis County, you're not even gonna bother to look at it if you're a landlord of rental properties on the lake. And
So
those
how
are the
would you
people
like,
that-
how do you suggest order?
I would suggest that you introduce it as imposing an occupancy tax on hotels, motels, and other seasonal rentals and Airbnbs. And then you'll see public show up at the meeting probably.
I think you need to put it in there that this is basically a new tax on all these people.
Yeah.
90% of them ain't gonna understand it.
They weren't gonna understand it when using that
So,
verbiage.
Joan, can you change the notice?
I can change the public hearing notice to say on occupants of hotel or motel rooms, short-term rentals of, homes, camps, exactly what we have in the law.
Yeah, put it there,
Okay.
let them see.
Well, I think you need to put in there that state specifically that this is a new tax on these
It's
people.
not really new, John,
It is new.
We're just expanding it.
just
Well,
expand.
there's new on them people, and
Well,
they're expanding
it's been, they've been taxing the hotels and stuff been for
it.
years.
Yes, they have, but
And
not
the
these
bed
other
breakfasts.
people.
Bed and breakfast.
Yeah, they've been taxing bed.
Yeah,
and
bed and
breakfast.
breakfast, but not the summer rentals.
Right.
Right.
I don't have any problem putting some around in there, put it in there.
It's fine, I mean, in section 3 it says that, so what?
I'll change the resolution for the, notice of the public hearing.
Cause section 3 subtitle B, it
Yeah. it's a
describes
line item.
operator, it says any person operating a facility providing lodging on overnight basis, and that's bed and breakfast, condominium, short-term rental, residences, or camps in the county of Lewis.
It's, pretty thorough.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can put that on the notice, then
I'll
that way it's,
expand
okay,
You got it.
Yeah.
alright.
Docket number 2019-305, resolution to approve and adopt the attached Lewis County Information Technology breach and incident response policy as presented to the Board of Legislators by the Director of Information Technology. Docket number 2019-282, resolution approving contract with Systems East to provide software support, maintenance services, cloud hosting, and web hosting services for the Treasurer's tax collection system for the period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020 at a cost not to exceed $8,064. Docket number 2019-279, resolution to transfer funds in the Sealer of Weights and Measures, Social Services, Office for Aging, and Highway Department accounts for vehicle lease payments utilizing capital equipment funds.
Hey Ryan, with that, had any more response from the sheriff about getting under the enterprise for that?
Yep, the sheriff, and Jason and I met with our enterprise representative. He brought us through the program, and how it could work. Basically, if we kept their budget the same, so we do $90,000 a year, rather than getting 2 vehicles that we own, we could get 5 vehicles that we rent, basically, and then rotate them through just like we do our other vehicles.
And how often is that rotation?
Probably 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years?
Yeah. So we would be driving a newer fleet for roughly, it would be the same cost. We wouldn't let it go higher than
Right, but you'd
90,000.
have a newer fleet more often.
Yeah, and you could theoretically do what Enterprise calls short cycle, which is what we've been trying to get towards. Some of the other counties are doing it. Genesee County's had success with this. We buy it on state contract, one of those Ford police vehicles for $32,000, where if you went and bought it yourself as a non-government, non-bulk entity, it cost you $42,000. We drive it for 2 years and then sell it for $33,000 or $31,000, almost the same as what we've got it for. So you try to build that equity and then your payments over time. Patty likes to laugh because we have this argument that, with enterprise you have to spend more to save more. But it is true, the more you have to build up your equity. You build up your equity, and then you take that equity towards your next lease and your payments go down.
Yeah, in theory.
Supposedly.
We haven't hit the tipping point.
We have not hit the
I
tipping
just have
point.
one quick question. So the dockets that we put forward in the Human Services Committee on the position, do you want me to reread that docket?
For the motion, you mean?
It's already been signed.
Yeah,
For
for
both the docket and the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to pass it around though? Or
How many did you
Do they
have?
usually?
just,
You had James and
That's
yes,
it.
there's only
Ashley's,
2 of them.
right?
But it's already, the docket's already been signed, so I didn't know if you
Yeah.
want me to
Well,
pass it.
I don't need to sign
Okay.
it, but
So the
unless you want
docket
all
was
us to sign it.
number 2019-300, resolution amending compensation plan of the County of Lewis with reference to Public Health Department to abolish the account clerk typist and create a senior account clerk.
Don't move. Ashley, what are the grades? Or Caitlin, you would probably.
So
know.
it's, the
The
account
grade-
clerk typist was a grade 16.
16, and what's that, what's the salary on a grade 16?
1694 to 1830. Through the stuff.
1694. Okay, to 1830,
Yes.
okay.
So we didn't have a
That's a
matching.
35-hour employee, right?
Yes.
We didn't have a matching position for a senior account, or for
For
a account clerk typist. It was either grade 13 or grade 19. There wasn't a 16 that matched what we were looking for. The account clerk was not going to be sufficient duties for what this person was going to do, so we went to the 19.
Okay, there was another docket, put in here. Docket number 2019-319, resolution to transfer contingency funds into the Sheriff's Department account to cover an emergency purchase of a new oven for cooking inmate meals Mills, Sheriff Carpinelli recommends approving the lowest of 3 obtained vendor quotes in the amount of $10,000.
I don't know if you guys were here for that, presentation from the sheriff. The General Services Committee
Well,
moved.
it just seems like a lot of money.
Well, what we'll do before we spend it is I'll go look on OGS and make sure we're getting the right.
That stuff, Dick, is very expensive when you start talking about that commercial cooking stuff.
I just bought
And
a
I can
Garland.
see where it could cost
That's what he
10
bought.
grand.
I just bought a
That's what he
Garland
bought.
double oven with 6 burners across the top for about a quarter of that amount.
A Garland?
Yeah, Watertown
New?
Restaurant Supply, brand spanking new. We put it in our
With
hundred.
this cause of the hood
So,
too that they want.
There must be
that?
something
There's a
different
new
in this.
hood.
I just
they
wanna
want a
understand
new
the
hood,
difference.
too.
That's
So
all,
what's-
that's cheap
what's the
because
purpose of
Garland's
the new
usually,
hood?
for something
They're
like that,
existing,
The
$70.
but that's like
exhaust,
a
Well,
unit, I don't know.
I wonder if it's a, what do they call those with
The
the?
general
Cause the hoods are
I wonder
separate
if
from
there's
the,
something
This
on the
is
air in them,
total.
what do they call it?
right, no, I know, but,
Convection.
Convection, I wonder if it's a convection, cause ours is.
Well, I can show you that.
well, no, I'm just,
It just seems like a lot of money.
We will look on the general services contract to make
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, I have no problem getting it, it's just,
general services,
I wanna
I'm sorry,
understand the difference.
Office of General
yeah, I know,
Services.
but general services committee though, what did they,
They voted to spend the 10
to
grand.
spend the 10 grand?
And you guys are now voting
Nobody
to
spoke up.
appropriate it.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is coming out of contingency.
Yep. And I'll sign that, I just would like to understand the difference. And I didn't think that
I'm
sheriff
gonna
had
keep
that.
my comment.
Maybe
So,
they should.
so, get him excited.
Like the double oven, 6 burners. I was gonna say, yeah.
We will make sure the quotes, the purchases made at an appropriate time frame.
For DSS? Yes, go.
So legislator Colzer made a motion to authorize Commissioner Jennifer Jones to refill an employment and training specialist due to retirement and associated backfill positions this creates, seconded by legislator Lehman and carried.
This is John Bonnet's retirement that we're.
Right.
Right. And the part-time will move to full-time and then we'll wanna fill the part-time one.
Anyone have anything else? That's everything you have, Cassandra? Tom, you have anything else? Good? Ron? John? I don't. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Tom?
Brian,
Oh, hold on.
did you guys look at the report, the real property report, where I asked you to review the sliding scale for the senior exemptions?
I read it, Katie. How about the rest of these? Let me pull it up.
It's the elderly exemption, right? Yeah.
We all just got an email about it, from state, didn't we? I just did. Is that what you forwarded me?
And this is from the town of, where was it?
Osceola.
Oh, Osceola, that's what.
We sent,
Let me pull it up.
I sent the same request out to all of the towns, schools and villages that, grant this exemption.
Oh, look at it. I didn't see it. John, did you read through that? It's right here.
It's in your packet.
That's right. It's in the packet.
It's on the last page of your packet, guys. Why don't, it sounds like everyone's open to it. Can we just prepare a resolution for next month and debate it then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Does that work for you, Brian?
Yeah, that works for me.
So Tom made the motion to adjourn and Ron seconded.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.